Howdy, folks. Let's talk about Russian news. What do you think was the biggest news of this week? Must be the fallen Russian ruble. Russian ruble devalued a great deal this past week, and at one point yesterday and Thursday, it was trading at 93 rubles per American dollar. Well, how is that a big deal? How is that a big news? Well, it is a very big deal. It is for a lot of Russians. Exchange rate going up or down is either a pay raise or a pay cut. The more rubles trade for $1, the more of a pay cut Russians take. So last week, lots of Russian people took big pay cuts. We are at the point where regular Russian people are starting feeling the pinch. Now, it's just a pinch, and later that pinch will turn into a punch. And this is how it's starting to look. I will give you this and other news that I find very important and show what kind of mad circus is happening in Russia right now. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. You will find here truth, common sense, and logic, and some emotions, because I am a human being. You will not find here BS, propaganda, or lies. You know, it's been pretty interesting week, and without further ado, let's jump right into the crazy news coming from this mad circus. Let's start with the biggest news of the week. What is it? Well, it must be the fallen Russian currency, ruble. It must be ruble devaluing. It must be ruble trading at, 80 something and then 93. It must be that. Nope, you are wrong. That is not it. That is shawarma. The biggest and the most important news in the entire Russia came from the Russian parliament last week. The State Duma, just Russian parliament, finally got busy with important stuff, with important matters, and offered Rospotrebnadzor, which is Russian equivalent of FDA, Food and Drug Administration, to develop recommendations and standards for cooking of shawarma. No more, no less. According to a Russian senator, Vladislav Davankov, it is necessary to include useful ingredients and exclude all harmful ones. Shawarma is an integral companion of our lives, so it must be of high quality, Mr. Davankov said. Well, shawarma, if you didn't know, it's a type of Eastern dish. It's very popular all over the world, and it's very popular in Russia. It's cheap. It's pretty good tasting. It's filling. It reminds Greek gyro. You grill chicken, meat, or lamb. You slice it up. You put it into a pita bread and eat it. Russia hasn't had any standards or recommendations or rules or norms to people how to prepare shawarma. No strict laws, nothing I know of. Well, that must be changed, according to a Russian senator. And it seems like it's one of the top priorities of Russian parliament to create and enforce shawarma standards and laws coming to the kiosk near you. And if you break the rule, put more salad than needed by the standard, for example, 15 years in prison. KGB will reinforce. Nice. And that is the most important news in Russia this week. Everything else is, less significant. Moving on. And the Russian ruble in free fall news takes only the second place after the shawarma. Russian ruble has lost its value, a great deal of value. Russian ruble broke the record this week. Yesterday, it traded at 93 rubles per dollar. In the last 6 months, Russian ruble has lost over 25% of its value to American dollar and world's key currencies. Since June 24th, that's just, a few days ago, ruble has lost over 7% of its value. In general, that's not very good. Imagine this. I'll try to explain in plain and simple language. Imagine this. Russia manufactures, produces, and grows everything it needs inside Russia, domestically. Russia makes everything domestically, food, products, cars, electronics, you name it. It's made inside Russia. In this case, the exchange rate to American dollar wouldn't matter to Russian people because they get paid in Russian rubles and they spend Russian rubles. They could care less how much rubles dollar trades for, okay? Makes sense. But the reality is completely different. Russia does not produce anything and imports everything, from food to electronics to cars. Turns out that Russia is pretty impotent in production. It only can extract oil and natural gas real well, and it's not doing that well now. But anyway, it does not produce anything. Imagine you buy a Snickers bar for the simplicity's sake, okay? It's manufactured in Turkey. Again, let's imagine the situation. It's manufactured in Turkey and imported to Russia. It's on sale in Russia for $1. Now, when dollar is at 60 rubles, that's the exchange rate, then a Russian dad goes out and buys a Snickers bar and pays 60 rubles for it and gives it to his son. So $1, 60 rubles. The exchange is 160. But then Russian ruble gets devalued by a great deal. And now $1 American dollar buys you 90 rubles all of a sudden. The dad must go out and buy and spend 90 rubles for the same Snickers bar, manufactured in Turkey, imported. The Snickers bar still cost $1, okay? But the price in rubles changed. Now it's 90 rubles. It means that the dad can afford 30% less than before, okay? But the thing is, dad gets paid in Russian rubles. His salary hasn't changed. But the prices of everything changed. They changed in rubles, but they stay the same in American dollars, okay? The exchange rate is the key. The ruble devalues. It means that capacity of Russians to buy things also drops. It's really good for Russian government because Russian government exports mineral resources. It still exports natural gas and oil, and it sells it for American dollars. So the more dollar costs in rubles, the more rubles Russian government makes, okay? For example, it sells oil for $1 million. So it gets 60 million rubles for at the exchange rate of 60. But then when the exchange rate goes to 90, all of a sudden Russian government, for the same amount of oil, gets 90 million rubles, you see? But it's really bad for people. Nothing is manufactured in Russia, so everything is imported, and everything's price is in American dollars. So the exchange rate goes up, American dollars, the price for everything in rubles goes up. Stays same in dollar, but in rubles now people have to pay more. The next step is inflation. All prices will go up. There's no question about that. And the key point here is living standard of regular people drops down significantly. And that is happening in the country near you right now. Hint, That country is Russia. And very soon, high inflation, even higher than right now, will be coming over to, again, the country near you. I'd say September, October. This is what's happening with the ruble, folks. Now, moving on. Very unusual news. I don't even know how to... I can't laugh. I can't cry. Just listen to this. I'm trying to spit it out of myself, The current ruble exchange rate is related to the current market situation. There is no doubt that the economy of Russia is stable. That I just quoted Dmitry Peskov, the press secretary of Vladimir Putin. That's what he said today. He added that the president of Russia has no meetings scheduled due to volatility of the ruble because all economic indicators in Russia are good. So there's nothing to worry about. When I read this news, I was kind of shocked. Again, the ruble dropped down to 93. Okay, not too long ago, it was trading at 60, 55. For goodness sake, now it's 90, okay? That's pretty big deal. But Vladimir Putin says, well, Dmitry Peskov, because we don't know what Putin said. Dmitry Peskov, his press secretary, says, well, president's not worried. It's not a big deal. Oh, come on, Go and keep on doing your fishing. It's summertime in Russia. So when I read this news, I was kind of shocked, and I shouldn't have been. I am so used to Putin lying and calling black that is white. The economy is in trouble. Ruble is in trouble, obviously. The country is in trouble, big trouble. But the president doesn't even discuss very alarming situation currently happening. He doesn't discuss it with any aides or government ministers or any officials, not with the head of Russia's central bank. You know what? This is actually a very scary thought for me. I start thinking that he really believes that everything is going all right. Everything is going according to the plan. All right, Salazar, you've been reading your morning newspapers, haven't you? Hey, Putin, next time you're in public, if that ever happens, let's say it happens, if they're keeping you hostages, send us a secret signal, some kind of a distress sign. Show us something so we understand that you are not, under allowance to say things freely. At least we know them. So please do that. And I hope that Vladimir Putin watches inside Russia streams. Well, folks, let's look for the sign. Moving on. Another record-breaking, and this is record-breaking week. Gasoline prices this time. The stock exchange price of regular unleaded gasoline has set a new record. According to the results of trading on the trading floor at St. Petersburg International Commodity Exchange, the price per metric ton of regular unleaded gasoline hit 59,000 rubles. That is a record. The price of regular unleaded gas continued to rise after it broke the record of autumn-fall of 2021 on July 4th. Second consecutive record broken in a row. But hey, what do we know? Putin says no worries. Really, Peskov says that. We don't really know what Putin says, but if he says anything at all these days. If he ever can speak at all, we don't know that. Moving on. Another record-breaking. This is record-breaking week. Sorry, it sounds like a broken record, but this is truly the week of breaking records in Russia, Russians in June of 2023 received a record number of loans, bank loans in 10 years. 1.7 trillion rubles. That's a lot of money. A little remark. Most credits, loans given out, have been unsecured. And the record is broken for the second month in a row. The previous record was broken in May. So this is second record month of loan taken in a row in Russia. A wave of unsecured consumer credits has reached its peak or near its peak. Some Russian officials are acting if this is a surprise to them. It shouldn't be. How do I explain it in simple words? Okay. Have you ever surfed? You know what surfing is, right? I surfed a lot in Maine, USA, Old Orchard Beach, Fortune's Rocks, Gucci's Beach. Those were my spots. Let me tell you a thing or two about surfing. You wait for a wave. You sit there out there in the ocean, you wait, and then the wave comes. The wave that you want to ride. You know it's your wave. You have a feeling. You see it's big. And you must catch the right moment to stand up and start gliding down. When wave comes and swells to its highest, you must be paddling over the top. You catch momentum on top of the wave moments before it starts breaking. That moment, when the wave is at its record high, a few more moments and it starts breaking over you. And if you are up and gliding down, it's okay. But if you're not, the wave crushes and takes you along, and it's a disaster, okay? It's a wipeout. So, do you see the parallel? You know, the wave at its record high, right before it starts uncontrollably breaking. I've been telling all along that one of the problems that Russian economy is facing, and one of the risks that it's facing, uncontrolled wave of bankruptcies, defaults, a tsunami of loan defaults, if you wish. Defaults both for individuals and companies. Well, the wave has nearly reached its peak. Second record month in a row. Unsecured loans. If you have even a little bit of brain and you're in the government overseeing banking sector, financial sector of the economy, you'd be sounding an alarm right now. You know, just about now. People are taking loans out to pay previous loans taken. And the banks are trying to make a buck, and there's no tomorrow. And tomorrow will come. When everyone starts defaulting on the loans, the banks will crawl to the government, to the central bank, and will start begging for the government to bail them out. Hello? Anybody out there? Incredible. Moving on. The Federal Anti-Monopoly Service, that's antitrust agency in Russia, proposed to increase natural gas prices for all consumers, personal and industrial, by 8% on July 1st, 2024. The corresponding order is published on a federal portal website of Draft Regulatory Legal Acts. It is also proposed to raise gas tariffs by 8%, another 8% from July 1st, 2025. The previous increase of natural gas prices in Russia occurred on December 1st, 2022. Then it was 8.5%. And the previous increase was not too long before. Folks, in my house in Rostov, I am paying 3 times as much for gas as I used to pay before the war. 3 times. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying, okay? And they are increasing the price more and more. As an economist, I can understand that. They're trying to come up with extra revenues. But the thing is, I thought that anti-monopoly agency, antitrust agency, must keep, its goal is to keep the prices low, right? Well, welcome to the country of the curved mirrors. That is Russia. Moving on. Another record-breaking week. Another record broken in another record-breaking week. Told you, this is a special week. The recycling or utilization fee for passenger cars, light commercial vehicles and trucks imported into Russia for resale will increase from August 1st, 2023. The changes will not affect citizens who import cars for their own use, do not plan to make money on the resale. This was told by the head of Ministry of Industry and Trade, Denis Manturov. So basically, any car that comes to Russia brand new must be, duties must be paid. And on top of that, utilization fee, which is quite hefty, must be paid. So now they're increasing it. Who will pay at the end? Well, of course, consumers who buy the cars from the dealers. This is the most useless tax. Utilization fee, Russian citizens utilize cars themselves, not the government. This is just another way Russian government sticks its hairy hand further into citizens' pockets. Nothing more, nothing less. Moving on. This is a crazy news. The countries arranging difficulties for Russian Federation, for them, nothing has worked out and nothing will work out for them. I just quoted Vladimir Putin, Russian president. That's what he said at the meeting with the members of Russia's Security Council. I just wonder if Dmitry Medvedev was there. They didn't tell us who was at the Security Council. Just they told us that Putin met them. So he said, basically in plain English, translate from Russian, said that whoever the enemies who are trying to make difficulties, to create problems for Russia, they haven't reached their goals and they will fail. Well, folks, mark down this moment right now. This is one of those moments where I actually agree for once what Vladimir that's just slip of the tongue. Vladimir Putin said, you see, I am Russian and my English is very far from perfect. Slips of tongues happen, my friends. I am Russian and my English is very far from perfect. So for once, I agree with what Russian President Vladimir Putin said. Other countries have nothing to do with what's going on in Russia. Russia has brought it on to itself by itself. He said, Vladimir Putin said, that the enemies, other countries, they're trying to make difficulties, they couldn't do anything because they didn't even try to harm Russia intentionally. Nothing will come out of it, he said. Well, this is where Vladimir Putin is a little off, because everything I'm saying in the stream screams otherwise. Titanic's compartments have been flooded and the ship has started sinking. Everything I'm saying right now in the stream, every single word. And it all comes out of official Russian news. I'm not making this, I'm not the newsmaker. I'm just merely citing them, okay? It's no fakes, no disinformation here. Everything I'm saying proves that Russia has already been greatly affected by Putin's actions and Russian people are feeling the pinch. And he says nothing will work out for them. Well, it has. Vladimir, you need to get out of your bunker more often. Or at least you need to get out of your bunker once. Okay, at least once. Moving on. It's good news. Russian technology, artificial intelligence, algorithms, this whole programming stuff is growing and strengthening. Force. Sila. Russia has equivalent of Google. It's called Yandex. And Yandex, just like Google, has different services, including music. Tons of music tracks like Apple Music, same thing, Yandex Music. So Yandex Music will change the rules of content placement, meaning, uploading songs into the Yandex Music. The songs, the compositions, will be checked according to the rules of the hybrid model. Now listen to this, hybrid model. First, special algorithm will check song, music. And then it will be checked manually by human moderators. It is noted that this hybrid moderation is aimed at protecting children. Of course, it's for protecting children. We know that. As well, now there's a little tiny thing not for children, as well as to identify content on sensitive topics that may cause discomfort to listeners. Discomfort to listeners. I wonder what it is. There's something fishy here. I understand children's safety, but discomfort to listeners. I am a listener. I've been listening to music all my life. What is so, terrible that can discomfort my listening? If I don't like the music, I just turn it off, right? No, not according to Yandex Music. Now, there's something fishy again. Does it sound gibberish to you folks? Just be honest with me. Discomfort of listeners. Now, let me translate gibberish into English for you. Let me translate and tell you what this press release really says, what this message of this press release is. Existing algorithms cannot conduct censorship. So if someone performs something against the Russian government in the read between the line fashion, algorithms cannot read between the lines. They cannot identify this. If someone says, for example, raps, something against Putin, something against the government, something against the war, and does it in, this hinting fashion, that will not be picked up by censoring algorithms. So they introduce in human moderators. The humans will pick it up. People can read between the lines, and they will read between the lines. And Russian people the Russian moderators, I think that they paid well, because you gotta be paid well to sell your soul to devil, So the Russian people will look for this sensitive content and will eliminate it. So my dear Russians, welcome to North Korea or 1984 or simply modern day Russia. Hey, no complaints. You have allowed this to happen, and you are the only ones who can fix it. Moving on. Oil and gas revenues of the Russian budget for from January to June decreased by 47% to 3.3 trillion rubles, the Ministry of Finance reporting. Well, budget revenues for 6 months of this year amounted to 12.38 trillion rubles. This is 12% lower than the volume of receipts for the same period of last year. In general, deficit is about 2.9 trillion rubles is planned for 2023, the ministry said. Well, surprise, surprise, I know the numbers quite well. The ministry is lying to you. It is planned, but the current budget deficit has already been more in the in the first 5 months of 2023 than they had planned for the entire year. So that indicator shows the overall health of the economy, and it's feverish, high fever, okay? And of course, just like all other times, Ministry of Finance telling us almost the truth. Not much to comment here, folks. This is what you get when no one wants to shake your hand anymore because your hand has blood on it. They don't want to buy anything from you. Therefore, your income falls drastically. And again, Putin is right. Russia has done it to itself. Or rather, Putin has done it to Russian people. No one outside Russia has done it to Russia. So, there you go. Moving on. That's, well, you decide for yourself what kind of news that is. The explosion occurred at a Promsynthesis plant, manufacturing plant in Samara province. According to preliminary data, 6 people were killed and 2 were injured. Not much information was further given because the plant is kind of secret. Classified. The plant's website reports that Promsynthesis is one of the main manufacturers of industrial explosives in Russia and in the CIS. Now, what's the difference between industrial explosives and military explosives? I don't know. If you know, you can write in the comments. I personally don't. But hey, that's what they say. Industrial explosives. All right. Interesting. Russian factory that produces explosives explodes. You know, such military production or industrial, production factories never exploded before the war. That's just food for thought for all of us. Moving on. The prosecutor's office of Moscow region has begun investigating the American company called Mars for the financing of armed forces of Ukraine and, for meddling with taxes on the income received. Mars, the Snickers bars, the Mars bars, the stuff like that. What? That's exactly what I thought when I heard the news. In May, the company reported that it had allocated $13.5 million American dollars to help residents of Ukraine, and their pets. 9 million of which was in press release of this company Mars, was aimed at financing projects to provide population of Ukraine with food, and $4.5 million for projects to support pets in Ukraine. Pets. To feed people and help pets, American Mars Corporation is a major manufacturer of candies, food, and pet food. The brand portfolio includes Mars, Snickers, Milky Way, Bounty, Twix, Skittles, M&M's, Orbit, Pedigree, Whiskas. Mars has and operates 10 factories in Russia. Again, this company, as it was announced today, is under investigation from Attorney General Prosecutor's Office. It openly said something I mean, if it was financing armed forces in Ukraine, it would have done it secretly through its American subsidiary or through headquarters or something like that. I mean, don't you think? Well, Russian prosecutors think otherwise. I think this is actually a very good case of advertising of how Russia is treating foreign investors. You see, I see a big billboard at one of the international airports in Moscow, right next to the arrival hall. And it says, "Come to Mother Russia. We will gladly take your money, confiscate everything you bring along, and throw you to prison. Just because in Russia we can do that. Your friendly KGB." Moving on. In one of the elevators, in a residential building, just regular residential elevators, in the city of Nizhnevartovsk, I believe it's far north of Russia, for 2 weeks in a row, some resident, unidentified, tore off advertising leaflets of the Russian army. Join Russian army and go fight in Ukraine. You'll be making decent money. You will feel good about yourself. You'll be a pride of your neighborhood. That type of crap. So that was a good summarization. And he's actually, for 2 weeks in a row, he was tearing off those advertisements. Well, that had to be changed, right? The management company that manages the residential block decided to act differently. They couldn't catch the guy, and they were trying to catch with the police. They couldn't do that. Now, every ride in that elevator is accompanied by audio advertising. The dissatisfied residents can do this now. The only thing they can do is to cover up the ears and try not to listen to it. I think someone tried to tear that speaker off, but it's very well protected. No comments, my friends. What can I comment on this? Let's just move on. New cars in Russia will rise in price from 5 to 10% over the summer and the fall due to weakening of the ruble losing its value, against currencies used for purchase of the components and finished cars. Experts started warning everyone in Russia. They've been warning all week. Now, wait a second. How is this possible? Moskvich is a Russian car made in Russia, right? Paid for in rubles. And what does it have to do with the exchange rate? Materials are in rubles. Labor is paid in rubles. What does it have to do about dollar? All the technology is Russian. Proud Russian car, Moskvich, right? It's already costing more than Mercedes used to cost not too long ago. But wait. That's not Russian car, is it? Moskvich. Oh. It's made in China. Really? Yeah, it's completely made in China. It's just transported it into Russia, and the wheels are taken off in China, and in Russia the wheels are screwed back on. And this is Russian manufacturing style. Well, price increase then makes sense because those JAC cars, JAC, that's a Chinese manufacturer, the real manufacturer of Moskvich, they're produced in China and they're sold to Russians, right, for American dollars. And moving on, another interesting news, another record-breaking week, or perhaps in the future, another record will be broken. Now, try to concentrate, all right, because you'll understand why now. Air tickets for air travel, air ticket prices may increase by 30% by the end of the year. Ilya Zotov, chairman of All Russian Association of Passengers, wrote about this in a letter addressed to Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin. The reason for the price increase is the increase in the rates of the state transportation leasing company. According to Zotov, the share of leasing costs for Russian airlines is up by 30%, which means ticket prices may also rise. And this is only just one factor of such rise. Let me just have a sip of tea. According to Zotov, situation with several production plants of aircraft have not, basically there's no production of aircraft in Russia. And it's not necessary to think about the supply of foreign equipment right now, but it will be next year when all the remaining stock of foreign parts for planes will be out. In the letter to Mishustin, the chairman of this organization asking Mikhail Mishustin to consider possibility to ban the increasing of airplane tickets until 2025 or 2026. Then, according to Zotov, the aviation industry will become manufacturing own planes and own spare parts. Now, folks, did you understand anything that I said? I didn't. This is some crazy stuff. I didn't even understand it in Russian. I decided to give it to you so you understand what I deal with every single day. It's a very lame excuse given by the guy who's supposed to be protecting the consumers, but instead he's warning of some crazy things and trying to proposing things that are unreachable. One thing I understood from this news is this key thing. All right, that's the most important thing. The airplane tickets will rise by 30%. And they can explain in anyhow. Foreign planes, no Russian planes, spare parts, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Russian transportation leasing company, and so forth. They will come up with millions reasons. But at the end, we will be hit with airline tickets going up by 30%. Plain and simple. Whew. Let me sum up. Actually, now it gets very serious. There's no crazy news here. I did not make up any of this, what I just told you. I simply take small news and analyze them. But if you put analysis and critical thinking, apply just a little bit of that to this small crazy news, this little news, they will paint a big picture. These little news are so crazy that sometimes it's hard to believe that things like that happen, okay? Most of this news don't make any sense, right? Wrong. I'll tell you a secret now, and you listen very carefully. Why do you think that these news aren't... why do I think... Why this crazy news are not, so crazy and they make perfect sense? Listen to this. It all comes down to the vertical of power, the system that governs Russia. I've said it many times, I've explained it many times, but let me remind you. The Tsar, it's a pyramid, right? The Tsar, the king, is on top, the decision maker with absolute power, and the serfs, the people, are at the bottom. The decisions are made by the Tsar, by the king, and the orders are given to the branches. They go down to different agencies of the government. There are different levels of those agencies, and the orders go from the very top to the very bottom. This system can only exist when it is controlled by the few on top who give orders And the orders are executed on every level of the pyramid, going downwards to the last letter with no questions asked. Those, in the government agencies executing orders, they know that if they make a mistake, they will be punished, and the punishment will be harsh. Okay, that's the only way that vertical of power, that pyramid works. But that's not happening now. You see, every level of this pyramid has started acting on its own. Orders are still given from the top, from either Putin or perhaps his friends or buddies or aides, deputies who are right next to Putin. And they're still given. And they're still executed. But the ones giving the orders are weak, and all see that weakness. All levels of the pyramid, they start having thoughts on their own. And all those government agencies of different levels start acting on their own at each level. And that creates all those news that seem crazy, okay? They're only crazy if you look at them from the angle of common sense. But if you look at them from the angle of breaking vertical of power, shaking vertical of power, this crazy news become looking absolutely normal and logical. The crazier the news, the weaker the vertical of power is. We've seen it once before. In the late 80s in the USSR, I remember quite clear. So, and if you lived in Poland, in Czech Republic, in Czechoslovakia, in Hungary, in Romania, in Bulgaria, in the Eastern Bloc, that you also remember that in the late 80s, all of a sudden, you saw crazy news started coming out of your countries, okay? Plenty of crazy news. So I personally welcome crazy news. To me, they're the sign that nothing is going according to the plan. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. The crocodile is here. The crazier the news are, the closer the crocodile is. My friends, this has been my message for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it interesting, informational, perhaps valuable. If you did, I'd be very glad. I would like to invite everyone to move along to the live stream chat, which I'm about to turn on right now. And while I'm doing that, I would like to ask you favors. First of all, thank you so much for coming and giving me a chance to speak and listen to me and watch me. Before I turn the live stream on, I'm asking you to help me to spread my message by making reposts in your social media accounts. That would help a lot. Algorithm loves that. And, liking this live stream would be nice. And if you want to buy me a coffee or become a patron, I would love that. I wouldn't mind. Thank you so much in advance. Again, thank you for coming. The live stream chat is on. I've been speaking for 54 straight minutes, so my tongue is hurting. Need some more of this tea. This isn't English breakfast. This is Earl Grey by Twinings. Excellent. Also love this tea. It's not as strong as English breakfast, but hey, that's what you're supposed to drink at night. Oh, folks. Just give me a second here to catch my breath. So what do you think? Did you like what I came up with today? 100% truth as usual, but truth at the very unusual angle. Okay, Mommy, Lorna, Black Cat, Harry, Bob S, Amir, howdy. Thank you, friends, for coming back and watching my back again. Dirk, Sion, Karino, Weiss, Amanda, and Mr. Kaliskin, Jesteri, Airborne Snail, Calvin, Koshkin Dome, John. Thank you, friends. The usual suspects, thank you for coming back. Whew. Tired of speaking. Still not feeling 100%, but getting better slowly. So, as usual, thank you so much for coming. As usual, you are the best. As usual, it is my pleasure in this, the best part of my day, in my evening, to communicate with you in a live stream chat. If you want me to see your message or question easier, please put it in caps. Put inside Rush after @ sign so it appears highlighted in orange. Or I always acknowledge super chats with questions or comments. Mario from Croatia, howdy. Blackad, howdy. Tom W, Pamela J, Frank, Jodes Rames, Eileen, first question. Eileen from Ireland. I love the Mad Circus Friday stream. From ridiculous to even more ridiculous. Hey, you know what? That's a good line. From ridiculous to even more ridiculous. I'm gonna make a note of that. From the ridiculous to even more ridiculous. The summing up bit was brilliant. Thank you, K in the mods. Thank you, mods, again. Dave Strains, howdy. Dirk, I'm not Mommy K, but I will tell you that you have won my strong handshake, virtual handshake. Here you go, buddy. Life, thank you so much for howdy life. Laszlo, Ho Marinos, Allison, the usual suspects, Julie, Multi Ducky, and Caesars from Czechia. Hi from Prague, good stream. I confirm the crazy news remark. So you also remember the crazy news, right? You had the crazy news started coming out in the late 80s. I'd say a couple years before it all changed. Tanushi, howdy and thank you for your support. Did you hear about the meat cubes near Belgrade? There's a debate going on whether it's pork dumped on the side of the road or compressed conscripts. I haven't heard anything like that. Where did you hear that? It's pretty controversial news, so please send me a link. Just Terry, howdy. Ken BF65, hello. Angela McNaw, Portland, Oregon. Wanda. Folks, I really have a hard time controlling my tongue. I don't know why. Because probably I was speaking for 45 minutes straight. Halifax, UK. Wow. I'm sorry, forgive my darkness, but I didn't even know that there's a Halifax in UK. I thought only in Canada. Well, I guess the Canadian one is named after the one in UK. Ellen, I'm sorry. Paul, thank you so much. Danke schön. I'm feeling better today, not 100%, but getting there. Thank you. It's fantastic to have you in Tashkent. Thank you again. Mix, Thailand. Howdy. Koshkin Dome, Scott Nesbitt, Roy Cousins. Howdy. Being the Ghost. So what do you think? What do you think, folks? Did you like it? What did you find usual or unusual about the news? Paul, please make sure that your twining steed is not involved in losing control over your tongue. Thank you. I'll be doing my best. Joe Drames, did you see that Moscow construction companies are now required to supply volunteers to SMO in order to keep government contracts? There are rumors, but there's never smoke without fire, as we say in Russia. Yes, I have heard that. I also have heard that those who joined the Russian army, they are paid large amounts of money, but not by the Russian government, but the Moscow construction companies. That's a requirement of Moscow government. That's also a rumor. Another crazy news. What can I say? Marie Nissan. Well, it looks like Russia is up the creek without a pedal. And there is a waterfall down the stream. Carson Larimore, howdy, thank you. I have watched live Russian blogger this last week traveling through streets of St. Petersburg, Moscow. Many people out and about spending money. They don't seem to feel the pinch. Very good point, Carlson. I'll try to explain what's going on. Jesus, yes, we did have crazy news. Thank you, my friend. That just proves my point. Some quotes were even remixed into songs later on. Thank you. It's a good news, actually. You know what I mean. Jason Carney is back. Jason, thank you so much. The champion of super chats and supporting. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate your generous support. Thank you. Look, and Jason, thank you for sponsoring 5 people. Thank you. Carlson, I would like to answer your question in a super chat. You see, Russia is divided. In Russia, we say that Moscow is not Russia, but Moscow is Moscow and Russia is Russia. Russia begins where Moscow ends. Okay, more or less same stance for St. Petersburg, although not at the same extent. There are more jobs in Moscow. There are better paying jobs. There is more of everything in Moscow. People have more money. That's where all rich Russians live, in Moscow. This is where they spend money. So if you think of Russia as 140 million people, rich Russians, probably 1%. 1.4 million Russians are rich, very rich. 10% somehow must be connected with the Russian government. Families, relatives, friends of those who work for the government, therefore they help them steal from the Russian budget. They're also rich. So we have a large amount of Russians in absolute number that are rich, that can afford a lot, that can afford to go out, to wander, walk on the streets, buy fancy cars, even now. Okay, and if you go to the very fancy places in Moscow, you will find people like that in Moscow and in St. Petersburg. There are shopping malls that are doing really well in Russia right now. Most shopping malls not doing that well. But if you pick the few ones, for example, Охотный ряд in Moscow, or Европейский, or Galeria in St. Petersburg, the best of, not the best, but the most popular out of the most popular. You will find lots of people there. You will find some business more or less as usual. But it doesn't say that it's the same thing goes for the rest of Russia. Okay, the rest of Russia is very different. I saw it with my own eyes even when I was in Rostov last August. Things were changing there. Now they have changed even more. So this is my answer. Thank you so very much for your question. A very good one. The Speak Geek, thank you for your support. How do you think Putin will respond when an F-22 shoots down a Russian jet that keeps interfering with US drones? Said new video over Syria. I did not see the new video over Syria. I'm not sure what you mean. F-22 shooting down a Russian jet that keeps interfering with... So this, in Syria, Russian jets keep shooting down US drones, right? Or, no. US drone it's not a tiny drone, it's a big one, the military grade drone, right? So, I don't know. We'll see. I can't tell you the reaction. Most likely, Putin will do nothing because he doesn't do anything. He can only do things covertly, okay, and he will not confront the Americans. But what do I know? Time will tell. Amir, howdy, howdy. Prince Amir is back. I really love your impression of Russian accent. That's awesome. Pretty accurate too. Well, because I'm Russian, I used to speak like that 20 years ago, I think. I am Russian. I came here to tell you truth about my country, Russia. Ferdinand, thank you so much. Welcome to Inside Russia. We have a new sponsor. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Edmirth, thank you so much for nice words. Alvin, good as always. Thank you so much. Alvin, I'm sorry. Was it you? Was it Calvin or Alvin who wanted to refund Buy Me a Coffee sponsorship? Just give me a note, and I'll gladly do that if you changed your mind. The Prigozhin video turned into a never-ending story. Andreas Benz, yeah, it's keep on happening, but it will end. It will end very bad for Putin. You mark my words. Crusader Damien, the creator of the best questions of Inside Russia. What are your thoughts on cluster and ATACMS being sent to Ukraine? Russian TV says they are at war with NATO, and now we will start to bring the pain. Russian TV has been saying that for a very long time. You see, if they wanted to attack NATO, then they would do it silently. Why warn NATO over Russian TV? Doesn't make any sense, right? So Russian TV is aimed at Russian people to somehow keep morale of Russian people somewhere, up from the bottom. That's what I think was happening. Joseph Di Giorgio, thank you so much for your support. Definitely buying a coffee with that. Thank you. What are my thoughts? That's a big help for Ukraine, and it might tip the iceberg, or how do you say that? It might help to gain more wins in the front lines. That's what I think. It's common sense. Ann Larson, howdy, howdy. Thank you so much. From Crazy House of Kremlin. Yeah. Seaman 434, do you think the fall of ruble will continue to reach the level of March 2022? The lowest ruble hit was 137, and it was absolutely crazy. Right after that, Russian central bank stepped up and started doing what it's been doing. I think that Russian ruble will hit lower mark, but it will not happen tomorrow. It most likely will not happen this year, but next year, definitely. Lower than 137. What we're seeing right now is the beginning of the landslide in Russia. And it's going to be very bad. And inflation is going to be very bad. The reasons I've told of them many, many times. Russia lost its revenues from export of bread makers, and its spendings have increased a great deal. Russian men have fled Russia. There are so many factors that are against Russia. It's not funny. Russian economy is going down now, so we will see ruble extremely, extremely cheap. I'd say next year. This year will definitely hit 100. Perhaps around September. KG1, how has Russian social security and welfare system been affected by the war? Do you have food banks like here? No! Oh my God, KG1, what food banks? No, my friend, nothing like that. People are thrown into the water and they say, hey, if you swim, you swim. If you sink, if you drown, you drown. That's how Russian healthcare system works. I'll give you a couple. Elena Andrushenko, you are Ukrainian. Thank you so much for joining. It warms my heart when I see Ukrainian here. Дякую. Thank you so much. George Rames, thank you for gifting 5 sponsorships. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Ben Stevens, thank you very much for your support. No message, but message is pretty powerful. Now, remember I gave you example $1 for a Snickers bar. Now, my mom receives a pension every month. She worked all her life, from 18 to 60. She worked as an accountant of a large company, a large plant, and then large organization in the USSR. And then in Russia, she worked an accountant for quite a few companies. Red King, thank you so much. Meat Cubes, Dark Humor. Okay, thank you. So anyway, my mom, what I'm trying to make a point is that she's a very hard worker, and she's very, she was an accountant, chief accountant. She was, she held pretty high position. Now, her pension from the government is, I believe, around 12,000 rubles. Now, if the dollar is at 70, that's around $150, something like that. It buys you worth food, and things and other things worth $160. But now Ruble's at 90, and her pension buys her things worth of $119. That is the difference. That's how my mom's pension has been affected by this devaluing ruble. Plain and simple. Well, my mom doesn't starve. I send her money because basically I'm paying for everything for her. But you can, take any other retired person in Russia with no support from kids, and this is how they fare. They see their money shrinking day by day. This is how they all have been affected. That's why I'm saying they all are trying to feel the pinch. All those people who are walking and doing their thing and driving expensive cars in the center of Moscow, in the center of St. Petersburg, who go to Galleria, for goodness sake, Galleria. My office was right next to Galleria. I used to go and dine there. Just don't ever tell me that place can show you what the situation in Russia is real, really look like. Because Galleria is exception to the rule, okay? Fancy restaurants there, and then the central location right next to a big metro stop like the hub, and right next to a train station. Oh, gosh. So anyway, those, like everyone get feeling the pinch, except for those who steal from the government. They're rich. They don't feel the pinch. Ted Hilker, are you on the Threads app? I just learned about this new app. I probably should sign up for it. RW, howdy friend. Love to mods, love to lurkers who just watch. Thank you so much. Pal B, hi Constantine, I follow Norwegian versus dollar exchange rate, Russian versus dollar exchange rate, and Norwegian versus Russian exchange rate. You're absolutely right. Thank you, friend. Thank you. Well, it's reinforcing. When I present you things, and then when someone says, okay, I double-checked what you're saying, I know what you're saying, and you're right, it's pleasing. Thank you. Julie W, boycott Unilever. That's a good question. Why are they still in Russia, you know? Cheryl, okay. Kaltenberg, howdy, the value horse. Thank you. EW 74, 1 ruble equals to 1 euro cent now. That's exactly right. And you know what it means? One thing and one thing only. Everything is going according to the plan. Huh? How about that? Kaltenberg, not sure what you mean. I have a feeling we'll be safer from here on out. I'm not out anywhere. For a cup of Twinings, Eileen, thank you so much. This is it. I already have it, but I'll put 2 euros into a very good use. Love it. I don't drink beer, sorry. I don't drink vodka, no booze for me. I used to when I was younger, but hey, people change, you know. But I love tea. I drink tea, mineral water, still water, coffee sometimes in the mornings. Hey, you buy me so many coffees. I mean, I've got to drink coffees, you know, and I buy coffees to others. LMVG, thank you so much. You just gifted 20 people sponsorships. Thank you from me and from 20 people. I appreciate that very much. Michael Yukon, howdy friend, no message, but this message is very powerful. Evil Duck, I love the name, but paying 5 times as much for smuggled good as we used to do is good, said President Putin, and the president is always right, especially Putin. Yes, he really knows what he's talking about, you know. Koshkin Dome, I'm surprised Mars is still in Russia. Me too. I thought they left, but I guess they didn't. Well, they just got a surprise and a reward from the Russian government. KGB started criminal investigation against Mars. Let me tell you, all Western management has gone, has been gone. They have left, I'm pretty sure of that. Do you think the company will leave now? I don't know. There's a possibility of that. They are between a hammer and a hard place. Hammer and a hard place, right? So what I think will happen now, the KGB is pressuring them with this criminal investigation. But while this investigation is going on, someone from KGB negotiator will come from behind and says, hey, listen, we can settle things. Sell us the factories. We'll give you a good price. Each factory costs $10 million, and there are like 5 of them. I'll say, well, we'll give you like $500,000 for all of them. But we'll set you free, and you will not owe us anything and things like that. So you get the idea. So I think this is what will happen. And then Unilever, the Mars plants will still be working and producing Snickers bars and Mars bars, but they'll be called differently, like Lenin's bars, Mark's bars, Putin's bars, something like that. And the ownership will be 100% Russian. And the new owners and the management of these wonderful plants will be walking in the center of St. Petersburg into Galleria Mall and buying expensive things. And their families also. And they're going to be all around the center of Moscow. The center of Moscow is not such a huge place, They'll be all over. And this is exactly who is in the center of Moscow enjoying life right about now. Okay? Who? Radek, thank you so much from Czech Republic. Thank you. What will cause Uncle Vova to fall? He is a fallen man walking. The collapse of the economy of the fall of Bakhmut. Silovik actions. Well, first of all, fall of Bakhmut will not do anything to Putin. He doesn't care. He could care less if we Russians, knew about Bakhmut, didn't know about Bakhmut. He doesn't just, that's, Silovik sections, definitely. Oh, yeah. Things were done 2 weeks ago. You saw it happening right in front of your eyes, right? He managed to get out of that situation. Will he get out of the second situation that's coming up? Not so sure. I think ordinary people will do nothing. I tend to agree with you. I think that you're right. Time will tell, of course, but I tend to agree with you. And the collapse of the economy can help. So thank you so much, Radek. KG1, you might like Thixton's best bitter beer brewed in Yorkshire. I don't like anything alcohol, I mean, I like beer. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not like one of those people who goes around and says, oh, I don't drink ever. I drink sometimes. I drink on the streams. But I do it like once in a blue moon. When I had a beer this summer, I was with friends, the mood was right, the atmosphere was right. I enjoyed it very much. It was German beer. I mean, sometimes I drink like whiskey or Metaxa, the cognac or something like that. It's just I don't do it often. I don't feel well the next day after drinking alcohol. This is just what I choose. And trust me, I drank before. When I was young in Old Orchard Beach, Maine, I partied every single day. I worked and I partied all night. I didn't sleep and I, worked again, and summers were crazy. I'm a little different now. Different attitude towards life, different health, different direction in life, so forth. But yeah, most likely I would like this beer. By the way, Dirk Miesler, even before the war started, he was one of the first viewers of the channel. And, we exchanged messages in Instagram. And I remember I was at a food supermarket in Russia, and I was sending pictures to Dirk what we had on sale. And he got me try beer called Kronbacher. And it's actually pretty good. I liked it very much. From, I think, Dortmund, right? So Kronbacher. So there you go. Pinda the Peanut, I think Unilever has not left Russia because their products can be easily substituted by Russian brands. Your thoughts? I think that we don't know the whole story. There is a possibility that Unilever is so big, so massive, that pulling out of Russia could disturb the entire food chain of Russia. And somehow Russian government, is blackmailing Unilever. Taking hostages or, threatening if in case they would want to leave perhaps the top management or something. That's a possibility. I'm not saying it can happen, but I think with this company, we don't know the entire picture. Perhaps there is a plan of Unilever leaving Russia step by step, and, they were not allowed to leave. That's a very probable situation. But they're willing to leave. It's just they're trying to find their way out. So this is maybe what may be happening. Crusader Damien, Bakhmut was built up in Russia like Stalingrad on propaganda TV. When Ukraine takes it back, it will be known and have a negative effect. No, my friend, no. I'm going to tell you something that probably will surprise you. Paya Sambleden, thank you so much from Denmark. Thank you. No message, but this message is very strong. I appreciate it. Thank you. Crusader Damien. and this is crazy, okay? But this is happening. Bakhmut was being built up like Stalingrad. You're absolutely right. Bakhmut was the focal point of all propaganda, of all TV programs. And the thing is, at the edge of Bakhmut, who was there? Yevgeny Prigozhin and Wagner. And everyone was cheering Wagner. Oh, Wagner, the savior of Russia. You know, the victor of Bakhmut. And then, of course, Yevgeny Prigozhin would come out, and he was very public. And every day he would give new information of Bakhmut. Oh, we took this building, we took this. And he kind of painted a picture that they were victorious all over, you know. And Bakhmut was all over. And this is where you're right. But second part of your message is this is where you're wrong. Because right after the mutiny, guess what happened on Russian TV? I think it was Yevgeny Kiselyov, one of the top propagandists, came out and started downplaying the role of Bakhmut for Russia and for the Russian army, and it's not a big deal. Like, who needs Bakhmut? Like, this is not a key strategical point. We have other very important points. Bakhmut, I mean, you know, so they're trying to erase Bakhmut from memory of Russians, and they're trying to do that. So Yevgeny Prigozhin and Wagner is also erased along with Bakhmut. The thing is, I'm going to be doing a stream on Sunday. I keep on postponing it because I come up with different streams, but this is exactly what my stream is going to be about. How they are erasing Prigozhin and Wagner out of Russian history. And it's happening right now, and 2 weeks ago it was different. This is the, you know, I can't even like tell you how crazy this country is. How crazy is this situation that is happening right in front of us. And how crazy that Russian people are, you know, buying this. So, Crusader Damien, I hope I answered your question. And I will answer more in the stream that is upcoming on Sunday. Please come back. Oh, Jeffrey S., howdy. RW, no surprise, Mars was the god of war. You're absolutely right. Spider, I do not speak of personal things. I'm sorry. I got your question. I do not, you know, I will not reply to that. I take the fifth. Joe's Rames between the hammer and the anvil. I meant to say between the rock and the hard place. There you go. William Ruble, thank you. Exactly, between the rock and the hard place. Thank you. Ferrari guy, do you think the release of footage of Prigozhin Porsche pad had the effect on that Putin desired? Or will it backfire? Pot, kettle, black situation. I'm being a little slow. Pot, kettle, black. Again, this is exactly topic of my next stream. How they're trying to erase Prigozhin out of Russians' memories. I don't think it'll backfire. I think they will erase, but watch my stream, okay? Ivan Laplante, Ivan, did you hear about Putin's recent decisions of recruit the Russian equivalent of DEA agent into Rosguardia? Could it represent a risk for your family still in Russia? What's a DEA agents? DEA. Special agent. Pursue the most notorious trafficking and narco-terrorist organization that threaten own country. Special agents. No, I didn't hear about that. But this, I think that really an insignificant occurrence. KGB is Rosguardia is nothing. Okay, it's basically riot police, and its goal is to disperse rioters, disperse the opposition, students, retired people, weak people. They would not stand a chance against Wagner. Right now, Putin is beefing them up with heavy armor, but I don't think it's going to do any good. He's trying to make them Praetorians. The time is up. Okay. Couple questions and we shall leave. It is wrong for the fire-burned pot to call the kettle black. You know what? This is a difficult concept. What I said was easy. All that stuff about vertical power, no big deal. But this kettle thing doesn't click in my head, sorry. Drug Enforcement Agency. Again, I said everything I wanted on Rosguardia. Veronica Mifsad, you could write a book on Putin. I'd rather write a book on my own life. I'm writing, and I'm ashamed to admit that it's moving very slowly. I thought that'd be easier, but I guess it's a whole of a different ball game. Verdammt. I don't know. I didn't see anything that hurt my feelings at this point. I didn't even notice that pots are not black. I just got an idea anyway. Guys, quit talking about these pots, okay? Talk about something easy. Yeah, Orwell's 1984 is happening in Russia. That's easy. Ferrari guy, pot calling the kettle black is an expression of hypocrisy. Okay. That, no pot. No. Basta. I see. Verdammt. This is where you stepped off a clear path. Well, you'd better, behave yourself, because you know what happens. Connected Europe. See you next time. I'm going to the bar. Nice. Connected Europe. So you are in Kryvyi Rog. Oh my gosh. My friend. I don't know what to say. Have fun. Have fun. Not too far from Rostov. Kryvyi Rog. Such a terrible tragedy. Stay safe. Please tell Ukrainians that I really am very sorry for what is happening. Andrew Cunningham, howdy howdy, sending love to New Zealand from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Marjorie Johnson, don't mess up with the Nightbot. Prigozhin, public enemy number one. He looks like Mesrine with those wigs on. Yeah. I'm being real slow, guys. I'm sorry. I processed so much information today. My brain is like boiling. Any space on naughty step for Constantine? Books are written one word at a time, slowly. Thank you, Justeri, but I was kind of hoping it would be much easier and much quicker, you know. In order to finish it, I need to put aside everything that I'm doing and just spend like a few weeks writing, and then that's gonna be done. Because I write and then I rewrite and I rewrite and I don't find it perfect and I rewrite again and Carlson Larrymore, thank you so much. Thank you. Roy Cousins. Dave Chip, my son is fighting in Ukraine for the Legion, morals at all-time high. The guys that he's with are so driven, motivated. Dave, God bless. All right, let's wrap it up for today, folks. Mountain Den, writing is best done while channeling your pure thoughts. Do not edit till later. Okay, thanks. You know what? I just thought of something, because when I prepare the streams, I write. And I write for from 2 to 3 hours. So if I spend as much time writing the book, let's say 2 hours every day, so that is six days a week, 12 hours, 6 by 2, 12 hours a week, about 50 hours a month. By this time, I'd write 5 books, okay? So now I understand what's slowing me down. Whose birthday is this? Klaus Tuver, thank you so much. Thank you. Russian History by the Unusual Russian is a good title name. I have a title. That I do. Hang on, that was someone's birthday. I don't get it. Dirk's sister. What's her name? Hey Dirk, can you write me real quick and I'll sing the song? Dirk, you still here? Let's give a few. Yeah, okay. Wait a second. You still here? This stream has derailed. Courtesy of Dirk. Don't do it, Dirk. It's a trap. Lorna, waiting for the Dirk to give up his sister's name. Never mind. Okay. Pinda, I'm so agree with you about Dave. Klaus Tuver, again, thank you. GBS, I don't know, but I don't have an opinion on Robert Kennedy Jr. I'm sorry. Oh, Sabrina, but she isn't here. Okay. Dirk, then we're not singing. Thank you, folks. Thank you again for coming, and thank you for giving me a chance. It means a lot to me. Thank you. Let's wrap this up by praying, as usual. Everyone, please join me. Thank you. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you for giving us this day. Thank you for giving us this work week. Thank you for putting food on our tables and putting roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful and raise our children in a way that when they grow and become adults, they will make this world a better place and will do a better job than we have done. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Thank you for sending angels to every single Ukrainian, so the angels protect people. Please answer every Ukrainian's prayer and grant every Ukrainian's wish. Make it come true. Please reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people who are capable of making decision to stop the bloodshed. Do something that you only know what to do, so they make this decision and the bloodshed stops. Please help my country, Russia, assemble the army of your strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael in a shining armor, so they come down to this earth like an avalanche and will get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country. Please have angels run Russia. Make it peaceful and make it good. Dear Lord, please help those who are traveling, send them safe travels, and help those who are seeking for asylum, especially families. Please help the addicted ones, the hungry ones, the sick ones, the homeless and jobless ones, the ones who are suffering from all kinds of pains, the ones who are not feeling well about themselves and about their lives, the ones who are struggling with their faith. Please help them, shine your heavenly light upon those people, and send love right into their hearts, so they will feel better about their lives and they feel better about themselves, and they will have a chance to lead healthy and happy life. Please help all the single women who are raising their children and struggling, trying to make ends meet. Please send help their way. Please help the Ukrainians, all who are suffering from Russian attacks. Please help send their way too. Send them angels. Dear Lord, please give us all peaceful skies, no matter who we are, no matter where we live. Give us enough wisdom to keep the skies peaceful. Thank you so much for assembling us into this community, allowing us to maintain this community and allowing us to pray every single day. Please help everyone who is praying or just watching us pray. Answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. Dear Lord, I would like to mention a few people who need your help. They are Wayne, Shirley, Debbie, Jen Allen, Finola, Lars Henrik and his mother, the Highwayman, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander and family, Choriz and family, David Porter and his family, and everyone who is in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Lars, Susan Marshall, Beulah, Lazarus, Boss Simon, Alvin, Alvin's sister, Teresa D., Terry Carter, Joe and Lee McMahon, Meta Spencer, Deanna and her family, Bree's friend, Caroline, Albina Fell, Michael Yukon, Joel, Life, Karine Vasseur, Pamela Jade, Lindsay, Larry, Brittany S., Allison Dave Moyers, Maureen M. and her sister, Mr. Hansen, Bob, Matt, Umel, Ashley, and family, Mr. Dean Spooner and his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Kumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Amy, Grace Philosophy, please send her recovery and shine your heavenly light upon her family and her granddaughters. Maggie, Vladislav and Sergey, Susie Mailer, Gina, Wayfarer, MS Paramedic, Liz, Karen from Maine, Lori Miles and her husband, Lori Miles' husband, Sherry, Layla, Philip's mother, Thomas Fowles' mother, Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Janine, Michael Milkevitz, Marlene, Paul Beans, Richard, Mallory M., Linda, Dirk, Terry, Richard Burris, Angelica at Life, and Scan Family's grandson, Randolph, Barb, Harry's family, Verlinda's niece, Ian James, Donald, Jade, Lisa's son, Kaltenberg, King Nero, Gaby Hyman, Julie W., Frank in Texas, Heather, Margaret, Linda Trombley, Sarah Stokes, James Gentz, China Bill, Yonky Mom, Hannah, Julie Haney, Paul, Vasilien Lubamirov, Greg and Shirley, Jim and Shirley Hall, Greg, Ann Larson, her family and daughter Diana, Hannah, Delaney and 2 daughters, Florentina, Mac's family, Sherry Morin, CKOC, Liz Dumbrell and her family, Ripted, daughter of Aspen English, Amir's uncle Dicky, Ruth, Susan, Paul, Rudy Kaisley, Darla, Bip, Santa's Whiskey, Paula McDonald, White Lightning, George Ruberty, thank you so much for shining your light upon him and sending you help and love. Dave Strains and Pam. I would like also to ask to help special children. They are Cadence, Maverick, Ava, Theo, Madi, Coulter, Sebastian, Ansley, and Karin Vaser's niece. Also, dear Lord, please help all the children of Ukraine and Russia who have been affected by this terrible tragedy, and all children in the world who are not feeling well. Please send them speedy recovery. Thank you so very much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. My friends, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for praying with me. You're absolutely awesome and you rock. There will be a live stream that just for sponsors and patrons tomorrow. Please come back tomorrow. And for general message, come back on Sunday, usual time, midnight in Tashkent. So I think you're gonna like it. I'll make it a good stream. Thank you so very much. Again, you're awesome and you rock. Before I finish, I'd like to ask everyone to say out loud, as usual, the following. Just repeat after me. Carthago delende est.